The meeting is now being recorded. There are translation options for Spanish. So down at the bottom, if you see interpretation, you can click on that for simultaneous Spanish interpretation. Also, the microphones and video for board members and executive cabinet will stay on. And then everyone else, please keep those muted. When it's time for reports, we can unmute and do the video for the people giving reports. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So with that said, I'd like to call our meeting to order. We have 6 board members present. Board member De La Torre should be joining us shortly. Which brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah, can you unmute everyone for the pledge so we can do this together? Is that doable? Or is that too much of a hassle? All right, don't worry about it. I'll lead us in the pledge. So people, if you'd like to rise for the pledge. Oh, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation under God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I could hear Carey Upton. I could hear Chris Mock during that.
Can't like unmute everybody, so I just.
I appreciated having Carey Upton and Chris Mock there with me. Their voices were heard. Which brings us to approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any corrections or changes to the agenda as submitted? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve. Richard, seconded by Craig. Do a roll call vote. Ralph.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
And I am a yes. I still do not see Oscar, so that is 6-0 to approve the agenda as submitted. We have 2 sets of meetings. I will take a motion to approve them together. We have minutes for the September 17th, September 24th. I see a motion by Maria, seconded by Craig. Before I go to a roll call, does anyone have any corrections to any of these minutes? Seeing none, I will do a roll call. Richard.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So that is 6 votes yes to approve the minutes as submitted. Wonderful. Flying along. Communications. We have new student board members, don't we, Ms. Warrenbrock? And of course, I do not have their name.
We do.
Shared it with me. Could you introduce us to our Samo High?
Yes, let me see if
Board
she's
member?
here. One second, I'm trying to go through the list of people here. For Samo High, it's Brianna Cornejo Perez. And I'm
Oh,
trying
that's
to
right.
see
We
if
met her. We met Brianna at the last meeting.
she was introduced.
Right.
I don't know if I see her. Let's search. Oh, wait, there's Brianna. There she
Yay.
is.
We did meet Brianna at the last meeting, so now she's a veteran. Brianna, so it's time for your first official student board member report. Welcome to the meeting.
Great, thank you so much. Okay. Sorry about that. I had the wrong link on hand. I apologize.
Yeah, none of us have ever made that Zoom mistake before. You're fine.
All good. Okay, so I have it here to start off. Okay. So good evening, members of the board and fellow SMMUSD stakeholders. As the student member of the board representing Santa Monica High School, I will be discussing the following 3 issues. Number 1, upcoming activities. Number 2, student health. And number 3, the concerns of the student body. Before delving into the 3 main areas of discussion, we acknowledge and are grateful for the structured classroom environment of this school semester and the hard work and preparation by our teachers and administrators. An update from the ASB class is that we have been busy acclimating to a virtual student community. Our club master list will be posted this week, which will include Zoom links and a description of the club activities. A virtual club row will take place on October 15th. After school, students or different clubs on campus and see what may catch their interest. We have a class of 2023 Chipotle fundraiser from October 10th from 4 to 8 p.m. at Wilshire location. To honor Latinx Heritage Month, we will be posting slides of Latinx contributions have positively impacted our lives. Club Junior State of America is in the process of a registration drive, which is trying to increase the number of high school voters from Santa Monica High School. The next issue is concerning student health. In terms of student health, there have been concerns as a result of integration of daily curriculum. The majority of our classroom assignments are to be done online after we've had up to 6 hours on our computers and other devices. As supported in an article written by Harvard Medical School, the blue light emitted by our devices can disrupt our sleep patterns I propose that we have more opportunities for assignments done without screens, such as sheets or PDFs that do not require full completion on a device. A healthy balance of homework done on and off the screen can benefit our sleep schedules and reduce potential headaches. Also, the CDC has confirmed that adolescents feeling stress, anxiety, and loneliness because of the pandemic. It is important that we have the opportunity to have social emotional learning in the classroom and check in to discuss the difficult moments we have. We need to have classroom support groups. The recommendation would be to devote a certain amount of time on a weekly basis, provide a forum where students can interact on a personal level. The final area of discussion will pertain to the concerns of students. In this segment, I'll be discussing the implementation of an ethnic studies course and concerns regarding the toggling of learning platforms, in person or remotely. Today, the would have been as a course graduation requirement for the class of 2029. Despite his judgment, I believe this course is a necessary course for our students and communities alike. By means of benchmarks, I am aware that LAUSD and Fresno Unified will adopt ethnic studies as a graduation requirement by 2023 and 2021, respectively. The course was said to include historical and cultural backgrounds on African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, and Native Americans. According to an article by Education Source, the proposed curriculum would include issues such as the persecution of Native Americans, starting in the mission period, the discrimination against Mexican Americans, as well as their influence on California politics and culture. Lessons would also focus on police profiling and government redlining policies that banned African Americans from white neighborhoods. I believe I speak for the entirety of the student body when I say that the curriculum provided in this class is necessary in combating apathy, providing students with an opportunity to learn about their own heritage, and examining the culture, contributions, and prejudices faced by these groups. I strongly urge the board to consider the implementation of an ethnic studies course at Samohi as a history requirement. On a final note, the pandemic has created an environment of uncertainty. We as students do not want our school district to do the same. Students have been anxious at the ideas of quickly switching between online learning and the hybrid model and a full transition back to school. We respectfully ask that the board release a statement with the full plan for the 2020-2021 school year to rid us of any uncertainties and make sure we can get acclimated with what is to come. Thank you very much for your time and consideration on these issues.
Thank you so much, Brianna.
Hey, Brianna, I was wondering if you can email me I know you're reading it, so is there a way you can email me what you wrote?
Of course, yes, I will do that.
And could you include me because my internet connection is not great and I missed some of it, sorry.
No worries, thank you, will do. Sorry, my internet connection is the same way.
And as Brianna is a newer board member, if we could email her the ACEs, the presentation from Satinder Hawkins, which lays out the U.S. history, 11th grade U.S. history, to give her an idea of how we're implementing some of the American cultures, ethnic studies into it, as well as the graduation requirement that we have in place. Terrific. So now we go to our Malibu student board member report, which is Estelle Shah. Estelle, I saw your name. So I see her name here. Is Estelle, are you with us?
I see her. I just unmuted her. Let's see. Estelle, can you hear us? Oh, she's unmuted.
Hi. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is going in and out. Okay, so this is
Estelle,
my,
so welcome to the board for your first report. Thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to you participating as a member of our school board.
thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on like a few topics that Malibu High had, or I've heard from the student body also. And so we have a spirit week, or ASB is planning a spirit week coming up. And since this is going to be a different spirit week, obviously due to the online, but basically we are planning, like instead of the normal dress up days, we were thinking of having like a Netflix party days, different cooking opportunities like for at home. And then we have some like Malibu wide like scavenger hunts that people are going to do. And so just to get the students more, I guess, interacted like with the community and that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of the first step that ASB is taking towards this whole thing. But then I've heard from a lot of students who are really concerned with the amount of hours that they're spending on the computer each day, considering that we have like 9 to 2, and then we have I know that we're getting so much homework, like just me being one of them, that we're spending all of our days just on the computer. And so I know that a lot of kids are concerned with that. And so, and I think part of the reason for that is because we only have 2 support periods in the week, and they're only half an hour long. And a lot of the teachers, because they want that one-on-one time with students, we end up waiting for about 15 minutes in the waiting room on Zooms. And then we go in and we talk to our teacher for about 5 minutes, and we're not able to go to any other classes because then suddenly like we only have 10 more minutes of our support left, and you just can't have another time with teachers. And since we only have that half an hour, it's just not enough time to go to more than 2 classes a week. And so I know that students then are spending a lot more time on their homework because they just don't have the same help with the teachers. And then what was my other thing? Oh yeah, so for we just kind of started up our clubs, and I know that a lot of meetings are being held like over Zoom, but again, they're doing a lot more like interactive meetings, which I really enjoy, and I know the students are enjoying too. But I asked a few of my friends and some other students at Malibu High whether they were considering going back to or whether they would want to go back to school. And they said that they would personally really want to, but their parents are really concerned with like sending them back. And so while the students want it, the parents don't necessarily want the same thing. So I know that about 8 out of the 10 students said that. And so that's just one thing like I was considering for that. But I think that's pretty much all that's going on. So yeah.
Thank you so much for the report, Estelle. Which brings us to our.
Maybe Estelle, if you can also, I know you bulleted some things there, go in and send me whatever bullet points you have also. That'd be good.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
I think both of you, if you do, when you do make reports, if you do have things that are written, I think you'll find the board very responsive to the student point of view and what you have to share with what's happening at your site. So we really value your presence here. I think I speak for the board when I say that. Student board member from Olympic, which is Emily Jackson. Is Emily with us tonight, Sarah?
Don't see her on the list.
I didn't either, but so maybe she logged in under a different name.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out.
Okay, Emily, if you're here, just unmute and let us know. Okay. We'll hopefully hear from her at the next meeting. That brings us to union report, SMMCTA, Ms. Braff.
Thank you. Thank you to the board and to the staff. Our staff is going above and beyond to make this year as great as possible for learning. They work and plan beyond their regular hours each day to prepare adaptive lessons for distance learning that engage their students in new and inventive ways. Teachers have accepted the trust you've placed in them to educate our students, yet sometimes feel that that trust is not reciprocated by our administrators, and we find ourselves struggling. The number of teachers who have said to me, "I don't know how much longer I can do this," is more than the number of teachers who said this to me in the previous 6 years combined, and it's the 1st of October. Our teachers and our students are overwhelmed, and it's taking a toll in the form of headaches, eye strain, muscle stiffness, and back issues, and they don't see any relief in sight. While we agree the learning this fall is much improved over the spring, we need to make adjustments and refinements so that there is adequate time for our students to complete their work and work off screen after a lesson or discussion. We know elementary students, as well as middle school and high school students, need to write with paper and pencil as well as their keyboards. Does every lesson have to be online? Do the cameras need to stay on always while students are working? Because right now, teachers are also expected to monitor every student online. As you will soon see from the survey results to be presented at the next board meeting, students and teachers alike feel there is too much screen time and not enough time to do everything else. Beyond the physical, our children are also suffering from the mental effects of too much time sitting in front of a screen. And I've heard from numerous elementary teachers about students brought to tears after too much time sitting in front of their screens. Our teachers need more time to prepare labor-intensive, asynchronous and synchronous lessons, more time to grade, more time to work with their students in individual and smaller groups, more time to collaborate with their fellow teachers, and more time to communicate with parents. Many teachers only have 1 hour a week for office hours. They need extra support. They need assistance in their classroom. They need fewer meetings and less professional development. They need more time. Do you trust in us to use our time appropriately and allow us the flexibility to be well prepared while having a more sustainable work-life balance for both our students and ourselves? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And I think Dr. Drotti in his superintendent report can respond to some of those issues that you brought up, which brings us to our next union report from SEIU. Chris Mock.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Drotti, executive cabinet, staff, and community. SEI Local 99 political arm have been focused on the upcoming elections, as you can imagine, managing phone banks and educating voters to vote yes on Prop 15. I'm going to throw in our plug there. This board does endorse it as well. Schools and Communities First, the initiative which will provide $12 billion annually to local communities and, most important for us, school districts by requiring corporations to pay their fair share in property taxes. We hope you all support it. It is a big measure, and we're very much behind it at the local. So SEIU's bargaining team have reached a tentative agreement with the district for distance learning and have brought it forward to a review by the Steward Council. The team continues to negotiate terms for the eventual staff reopening of schools and classrooms. I would like to personally acknowledge the efforts of Deanna Sinfield and the work she and the Special Education Department have done to ensure the safety of service providers as we resume on-site and in-person assessments of students. She's done a great job, and I really appreciate it, and she needs to be acknowledged for it. Working together in collaboration with management and staff is essential that even in the face of this global pandemic, we ensure that we continue to move forward. This is why our labor management teams in transportation, special education, and maintenance operations and facilities have been an invaluable resource to address issues and collectively resolve problems that affect our unit members. Moving forward, communication is key, and we need to be proactive. We also continue in our fight to return our laid-off CDS unit members to work. This afternoon, we filed a request for impasse determination with the PERB board to move to fact-finding and get a mediator. The layoff of more than 60 essential CDS staff remains unprecedented in that no other district who faces similar challenges has done the same. We continue to urge this board to restore these programs and return our unit members back to work. And with that, I will say good evening. Everybody stay safe and journey on.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. And I, just to reinforce what you said about Prop 15, the board did approve a resolution endorsing that proposition. If people would like to endorse it individually, Prop 15, yes15.org. I think you'll see the list of people who are supporting.
Yes.
It would be a boon for public schools in the state of California, which is why
Yes,
the board supported it.
Thank you for
very
that.
much,
Yes.
Chris. Brings us now to PTA Council report, which is Gabrielle Cohen. Gabrielle.
Hi, everybody. Before I start, I just wanted to say to Brianna and Estelle, my first report wasn't nearly as eloquent as either of yours. So good job. And you're both very impressive young ladies. And we're so happy to have you at these meetings and to be able to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. PTA Council, we have heard our PTA membership and have been working to get more parent engagement. We're working with the district to ensure this happens, and we want to say that we really appreciate that the district is working with us to make sure that this happens. After a study was done and a discussion was had, the Santa Monica Malibu Council of PTAs voted to endorse local measure SM in the hope that it will bring back our city libraries, our after-school programs, and our youth mental health programs. And we will be sending out information to all of our membership about this measure. Our PTA units have been working very hard this year to get the year going, and they're still raising money to help pay for supplemental supplies, software, and other non-personnel programs for our students and more. Because as a reminder, PTAs pay for stuff and not staff. We have already had one parent education webinar and want to thank Samo High's PTA for bringing it to us. We're hoping to see more parent education in the near future. I also wanted to take this time to tell everyone that the 33rd District PTA, who we are members of, are having a speaker series for parents and secondary students. And they have topics such as creative connection, managing grief, loss, and separation, conversations with high school parents, strategies and tips for the college application process, and conversations about equity. And everyone is welcome to register to attend these talks. And you can do that at 33rdpta.org. That's 33rdpta.org. Last night, we co-sponsored with the League of Women Voters a candidate forum for the Board of Education. I think it went very well. We wanted to let everyone know that we are also co-sponsoring one for the College Board of Trustees on October 7th at 7 p.m. We think this is really important for our community because so many of our students in high school take courses at SMC. We are always trying to come up with ways to help our students, such as trying to help them with community service hours, making sure we support programs to help food insecure families and other ways. We want our community to reach out to the PTA presidents if they have any questions about what we do. We hope that everyone will support us by becoming a member of any of the PTA units in our district. And we would like to formally invite the Board of Education and all of our administrators to join PTA as members as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gabrielle. Which takes us to our end of communications and takes us to our superintendent's report, which, as has been our lack of word, John is dealing with brain freeze, has been our practice. Ben will be, Dr. Drotti will be also referring to a COVID-19 update. Dr. Drotti.
Thank you. So I appreciate all the people that provided the feedback in terms of the reports. I think it's valuable. So to the students, I appreciate you actually speaking about some of this information that you shared. Please go ahead and send it to me, and we'll include it as a part of our deliberations as we plan to improve on distance learning. First, I want to thank everyone for filling out the survey that was sent last week to parents, staff, and students regarding how distance learning is going. We have approximately 2,800 parents that participated so far as we looked at it today. and I think half the teaching staff. And I don't remember exactly how many secondary students, but I think as you can see, 2,800 parents. I mean, we have way more parents in our community than that. So I really urge all of you out there to go back. I think we'll send another reminder out today or tomorrow for people to continue to fill out the surveys. And it does close tomorrow, but the information is valuable. Preliminarily, we looked at it, and it looked it's consistent to what we heard here. That there's and I don't want to give the details because I'll be sharing the information next week to the community and making it public. But it does. People are somewhat satisfied with how distance learning is going. But screen time is an issue with all three constituencies, the parents, students, and staff. So that is an area we're definitely going to look at. And so more to come on that. We are in the middle of conversations with Teachers Association, talking about this very issue. We have one planned for tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to incorporate some of the suggestions starting next week if we're successful in our debriefings. And I want to just add that no one is here mistrusting anyone. I think we're all in this together. In the summertime, I heard, I think everybody in the community heard how things went in the spring. And I think everybody kind of put their hands together, came back and tried to address those issues. The reports, the surveys have shown that we made progress from what we were in the spring, but we've also now identifying areas where we can improve. So there is no distrust. There is no, we don't trust anybody or to do the work. It's a matter of making sure that we're all coherent in our approach, that we're all coherent. And that one experience in one classroom is drastically different from another in terms of engagement. So that's why we need to have these conversations. So when we are ready to go out and make those adjustments, that it is a unified adjustment and that we don't slip back into what we were in the spring, where people are just all over the place based on their the personal take on things. So more to come on that, but there is a lot of conversations happening now to implement some of those adjustments. So I'm gonna kind of put that to the side in terms of distance learning. And I want to switch to plans for the future that we have to get involved with. In terms of where we are with the reopening of schools in the county, I'm gonna briefly just share a screen that I shared last time before about how we monitor the county's COVID cases. And so essentially I'm modeling for all of you. You all have access to this through your email, through your through your computers, but you can log on to covid19.ca.gov and you have access to this. And what you see here is basically the blueprint for safe economy. And notice I put down Los Angeles County, and I put down schools. This has, you can put businesses, gyms, whatever business you're involved with, you can put that down and it'll give some information about how to process the reopening. So here we're dealing with schools. So in here, you'll notice that based on the reopening protocols or the website here, the county is still in the purple stage of reopening. It's still in the purple stage of reopening. LA County positivity rate has been very low. I'm gonna scroll down to where you see that. You'll notice this is a map of California, and I clicked on Los Angeles. And you'll see if I click on Los Angeles, it'll pull up our cases, and in here it shows where we are. But our daily cases have been high. In order to move from tier 1 to tier 2, this is the tier system here. For tier 1 is a purple and tier 2 is a red. We have to, let me see, hold on for 1 second here. in order to move from tier 1 to tier 2, a county has to have been between 4 to 7 per 1,000 case per day for 14 consecutive days. Okay, so LA County met the criteria for about a week. We actually we were hovering around 7 cases per 100,000, but we actually have creeped back up to 7.3. Okay, we creeped up back to 7.3. So we now have to go backwards and start all over. So the clock starts again. As I said before, we have to meet the criteria for the second level for at least 2 weeks before we actually are given the permission to go into it. But we were headed there until we're thinking of Labor Day weekend and other activities have caused us the cases to creep back up. So the clock has started again this week. So we now have to meet the threshold for the red stage or tier 2 for at least 2 additional weeks before we're given permission to actually move into the red tier. So let me kind of go into what we can do within. I'm gonna stop sharing. So hopefully you guys caught this. If you haven't, I'm sure you'll watch it over when the meetings are over and access the website. But you can go around and play with it. But what can we do within the purple stage? And as we discussed at the last meeting, we can bring small cohorts of special education and English learner students to provide additional support and provide the necessary assessments to support those students. The assessments process is currently taking place with special education, thanks to the work of Mrs. Deanna Sinfield, Dr. Mora, and all the staff that got involved with really developing a process for that. And we are currently finalizing plans to assess the English learner students. Additionally, we are finalizing plans to be able to bring small cohorts of identified students who need additional support, and more information will be coming out on that. So those are the kind of activities that we are authorized to do under purple. Let me add one other thing that we can do actually under purple. That we have applied for and are confident that we will be given permission to establish learning hubs to support identified students with supervision. This effort will end up being a combination of opportunities that we offer as a district and also partners that we are working with other agencies to help set up. I think we'll need to support the other agencies with this effort because we have identified about 500 students, families that said, 500 families that have said that they need that type of support. But given the constraints that we have as a district, there's no way we can support all 500. We're going to identify through a criteria basis who we can support, that the district will support, and then work with partners to help alleviate support for other families. So more information will come out on that. And then lastly, under the purple stage, the LA County's Board of Supervisors, as of yesterday, you just kind of explain to you how things are constantly moving. As of yesterday, the Board of Supervisors allow for schools with high population of socioeconomically disadvantaged students to apply to reopen for grades TK to second grade. Only 30 schools will be considered per week. We are just not, because it identifies schools that are highly socioeconomically disadvantaged. We're just not sure if we meet that threshold. We are still in the process of investigating that. As I mentioned, this was just established yesterday, and there's still a lot of questions that people have to answer. So we'll keep you posted on in that regard. So now, what I want to do is just kind of give a heads up about what's about to come your way as a community in terms of our preparation for the rest of the year. You will be receiving a letter in a couple of days, and that is a description of how we plan to engage the community during the month of October and November regarding possible models for reopening schools. Okay. You're going to be receiving a letter describing how we're going to engage the community about some possible models that we can consider in terms of reopening. Let me be very clear. This does not mean that we are abandoning our work towards strengthening distance learning, because you get a letter describing work we have to do about coming back. Okay, I'm pausing on this because last time I tried to do this, there was consternation out there. People assumed that somehow we were abandoning working on the current situation we're in. We need to do both at the same time. Okay, we have to do both at the same time because time is clicking, and soon, at some point, the county would allow for schools to reopen. At that point, as a community, we have to make a decision about how we're going to address that situation. And if we just kind of sit back idle and not focusing on that, we're going to miss the mark, and then and we won't be able to support our students the way we need to. So I urge you to be patient. We need so what's coming to your way is a description of how we will engage the community. And it's a pretty robust plan that we have, various meetings that we're going to engage in. And I want everybody to kind of pay close attention to that. Please join if you can. And then we will try our best to answer questions, address concerns, explain why the constraints that we have to live under. And then at some point, I plan to bring for board discussion and a decision about how we're going to reopen schools when we're able to do so. But just based on what I'm seeing in terms of the COVID cases, the protocols that we have to meet has a lot of restraints on what we are able to offer. But given all of that and where we are currently, the earliest anticipated date I'm thinking that we can transition to opening schools will be January 5th. I'm not sure where the state is going to be in terms of the COVID cases. There were some projections earlier that schools can start reopening in November. I'm telling everyone, I don't think we'll be ready to do the full reopening in November. I think the earliest date will, what I will be recommending is January. And, but like I said, that's not set in stone. If somehow our conversations are taking place and things are developing much faster, yeah, we can, but based on what I'm seeing, I'm thinking January is probably what I'm gonna be recommending. So, so more information will come on that, but we have to, I just wanna reiterate, information or our engagement or view about that does not mean that we're ignoring distance learning and what needs to be addressed with screen time and so on. We're gonna have to do both simultaneously. Okay, so with that said, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you very much, Dr. Drotti. Which brings us now to our consent calendar. I know that we have one item that we are removing from consent, which is item F3.6. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, so that is being removed from consent. Does anybody have anything they need to pull or alter from consent as submitted? Yes, Ralph.
3.1, 3.I, and 3XIX 19.
319. Okay, so we will pull those off for separate discussion. Anybody else?
Yeah, the Oscar.
Yeah. Hey.
What is it? 3.2. The John Adams Middle School.
Okay.
And then also the where's the one dealing with the parking, outside parking? That's what is
3.9.
3.9. The
okay. 3.9. So we can discuss those. Great. So those two items. Also,
yeah, those two.
Richard, did you have something to pull?
I just said I'll move the other items.
So pull those 4 items, and then Richard has moved. Craig is seconding. So we can open. So
John, may I confirm which ones are being pulled? I'm sorry,
yes,
I broke up a little.
3.1, 3.2, 3.9, 3.19.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second to approve consent minus those 4 items. Motion by Richard, seconded by Craig. Ralph, is that a vote or is that a question?
Both. No, it's a vote and a second or whatever you want.
Okay, we got that. So let's do the roll call. Ralph, you're first.
I'm good.
Great, thank you. Richard?
Yes.
Maria?
Abstention.
Abstention? Okay. Craig,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Oscar,
Yes.
and I am a yes. So that is 6 yeses and 1 abstention. So let's take these items in order, in numerical order, starting with 3-1.
You know,
Ralph, you,
and we have a public speaker on
consent?
I think one of the items. Sarah, am I right about that?
Oh,
Sorry,
I didn't
hold
see
on.
anything on consent.
Maybe I'm misreading the
We have major action 1, major action 2,
1.2.
and a general public
I
comment.
thought 1.2 was supposed to be that, but maybe
I
not.
think that one might be Roman numeral I. I think it's major action item
Yeah,
I2.
Oh,
read.
I'm sorry. I
Both major
apologize. Yep, you're right.
And then 2 general public comments, which we will get to after consent. So starting with 3-1, Ralph, you pulled this. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah, I'm supportive of the item, but the item is for the district to fund the sustainability coordinator, but it's only through December 31st. It's at a cost of $18,000. For an additional $36,000, we can fund the sustainability coordinator for the rest of the year. So there will be $54,000 from now through the end of the year. I don't know that we can change it here, but I would like to see it come, if there's support from the board members, to come back to extend this contract through June 30th for an additional $36,000. We've done this a number of years. We've yet to make this a position, a year-long position, but we know that the people who have been in this position have helped us in our efforts for sustainability. They've in fact helped us save tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the work they've done. So I just think it goes along with our values, and I don't think it's a burden on the district to fund this. So I would like we approve this tonight and then bring back to run it through the rest of the year.
I think it's a great idea if staff can. I'm sorry, Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah, just I mean, with the budget cuts and everything, there's a lot of need, and I mean, when things being well and things being good, I support a sustainability coordinator. I just have a question in terms of like, how can we pay for this staff position out of bond money? Because the money's coming out of bond money, correct? Yes.
50-50.
It's 50-50. Half of it is paid for bond and half of his work is bond related. The other half is paid for the general fund because that part comes out, it's connected to more maintenance and other types of things. So it's out of the maintenance operations department. We do see it in many ways through both savings and cost avoidance through utility cost. And we're doing a study and working with our energy managers to prove that point very clearly, but we haven't yet demonstrated to a point that we can make this a full-time position, but we think we're headed that way. It would be helpful if the position could be continued. It certainly is necessary and does save us money regularly.
Yeah, but the question is, I mean, the two things. One is you're saying that 50% is bond money. What kind of bond activities are they doing?
Certainly. He works with our bond teams on various sustainability issues. So like right now, we're putting solar panels on top of the Samo High Innovation Building. He's also working with us on our phase 3 Samo High project to make sure that it meets all of our sustainability needs, working on our Malibu projects. So with each of our projects, we have sustainability. Each of our FIP projects, we have sustainability goals that are both our district goals, but also requirements by the state that we must meet. And he works and assists on those, along with working on things on the maintenance operation education side.
So we don't have within the contracts with the different construction firms that we operate with, we don't have language in there for them to take care of that sustainability. Like we have to hire staff aside from the contract.
I can contribute to that, Oscar. We do. I mean, we do have sustainability goals that our design teams need to approach or need to meet. But for example, last week we were having a discussion about Malibu High School Phase 1, and specifically around whether or not we would make it how we could make it a net zero campus. And Austin participated in that, as a sustainability consultant. He is, he's probably the best suited to contribute to that. But our design teams do absolutely, for one thing, I think all architecture firms really put sustainability at front of mind. But in some cases, they also bring in their own sustainability consultants. And those guys will work directly with Austin as we develop these projects and kind of create the projects that we are aspiring to, and trying, of course, to keep it within budget.
Yeah. Well, one thing, I mean, that's real important is to bring back that data in terms of justifying the work, because I think it's great for the board to show during these very difficult budget times, to show that these positions actually save the district money, or at least zero out in terms of the savings versus the general fund expenditures. So it'd be good to get that data back to us so that we can justify those positions. But I'm just my point is that we're hearing all these issues going on, a lot of need right now, and I wanted to hear from staff to make sure that we can justify spending these funds for that type of activity.
Yeah, Oscar, we were working on that report exactly. And then what happened was we closed schools. And because we closed schools, we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in our utilities. Some of that was directed to the efforts we'd already done, but a lot of it was directed to the fact that we were closed. So at this moment, it's a little difficult to gauge how much the work we're doing saves those funds and how much it's just us being closed. But as soon as we can, we'll get you much more information about that. And that's one of the things our energy managers will also assist with.
All right, thank you.
And Carey, maybe we could even revisit the FOC report from the sustainability subcommittee. I believe last year they gave us a pretty detailed report about the significant savings that we were gaining from our sustainability program, not just because we believe in the values of it, but that we actually were seeing some improvements. So that we could go back and revisit that report.
Okay.
So as to Ralph's first point, I think it's perfectly within staff's right to come back if you want to present this as what it would look like if this position were continued for the rest of the year. We can put it on consent, and we can have the discussion about it then, whether we feel it's the right way to spend our money or not. But staff can come back to us at the next meeting or meeting after that and ask for this on consent. Yes, Richard.
Certainly.
I just want to make sure that I speak in favor of Ralph's request. I would like to see this come back to the board for discussion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to have a discussion about it now. We can give direction to staff right now to say, come back with that.
I just want to make sure you've heard from 4 people say that I think it's important to know if it's not just Craig, if it's not just Ralph, it's more than Ralph. I saw nodding heads, and B, we'll all have a chance to voice our up or down on it. Thank you, Richard. So we do have this item. I'd like to see if anyone could move and second this item here. Moved by Ralph, seconded by Richard. We'll do a roll call. Ralph.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Craig. There's a nodding head. Yes. Lori.
Yes.
Oscar.
Abstention.
And I am a yes. So that is 6 yeses and 1 abstention. So now let's bring us to 3.2, which, Oscar, is an item that you pulled. So would you like to address this?
3.2.
John Adams Middle School Performing Arts Center lease back. It's the security cameras.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about Carey? Maybe you can tell us why the security cameras are a part of this item that's dealing with the auditorium.
Certainly. Steve's going to jump in on that, and I can finish if we need to.
Thank you. So with the auditorium, we already have installation of security cameras in the Performing Arts Center. And in order to expedite the installation of security cameras around campus, the most expeditious way to do that is to add it to this existing project. However, the funding will not be from the Performing Arts Center budget. It would be from the safety and security budget, which we have for all of our campuses. So the intent is to, yes, have Bernard's do it, and we're having them do it because they're out there and they're Their subcontractor, Crown Tech, is already on site or will be on site at this time to do the installation on the Performing Arts Center. So it was efficient to add the rest of the work and have them do it the rest of the campus.
So it's a 512,000 and change.
Yeah.
For a security camera system that'll be school wide, not just around the auditorium.
That's right.
All right. And do we have any other school that has that type of system installed right now as we speak?
Yes, the Samo High, which was our pilot school, had it installed. Also, we have it set up at Olympic. And right now, another contractor that you've already approved is installing it at Rogers. Muir Smash is about to do it at Roosevelt and Lincoln. And we have the rest of the schools lined up to be completed, I think, by the end of January.
And you can in terms of monitoring the system, is the monitoring happening in in central office in the district or sites by every site at every site?
It is a highly secure cloud-based system, and it can be either monitored. It's not 24/7 monitored, but at any time, either someone who is authorized from the district office, mostly maintenance people, and the school site administrators could sign on to look at it. We also could then go back and tape and see where it is. But it is a cloud-based system, but it's very highly secured.
Okay, great, thank you.
And I just want to remind everyone, this was a part of the discussions we had, I would say 2 years ago, during the height of some of the safety concerns across the nation. And I think at that point we decided to incorporate perimeter cameras in all of our sites.
Oscar, any more questions on this one?
No, that's it.
Great, thanks. So yeah, Ralph, question?
I just wanted to confirm it. I mean, part of what's said is that the idea is to have it. It's not we're not monitoring the system on a 24/7 basis. It's there for us to, in case of an incident, to be able to go back and have footage to see what has occurred.
Yes, and that is its primary use. And we've also, though, used it during occasions at Samo High when things were occurring in real time. So we were able to observe things such as on the major protest day. We were able to keep track of what was happening on our campus.
Great. Okay, so do I have a motion and a second for item 3.2? And Craig, moved by Craig, seconded by Lori. We'll do a roll call. Ralph?
Yep.
Richard?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Craig? Thumbs up. Lori?
Yes.
Oscar?
I'm abstaining on that.
And I'm voting yes, so that is 6 yeses and 1 abstention for item 3.2. Brings us to item 3.9, which is the parking issue. Oscar, you pulled this one?
Yeah, I just want to know how much more money do we have left in ES? Do we know?
Oh, geez. Oscar,
reaction?
That's not what I expected the question to be. Oscar, I'm going to have to verify that. And you're talking unencumbered, correct? Not just how much have we spent, but how much have we not yet encumbered?
Yeah. How much do we not have encumbered?
Okay, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to work with Ashraf and get an accurate number on that, and then get back to you on that.
Okay, great, thank you. And then the other question I have is, we're paying for parking spaces, but we because of COVID, just sort of the comment earlier that Carey made, we have a lot of savings on electricity and utility because we don't have people on campus. So then that means we don't have all the need for parking. I'm concerned that we're paying for a lot of parking that we're not going to utilize.
So I think that's a great question. First of all, one of the things, the way we put this together, when we packaged this, when we were working with it, we didn't know when teachers were coming back. Now we do pay, some of this payment is for teachers and staff on the Samo High campus, and some of it is for contractor parking. And I know that seems a little weird, like, well, can't the contractor park themselves? The answer is yes, they could. But of course, for the contractor, when they have an expense, that gets passed through to the owner. So when we entered into this agreement, we had the option of having the contractor provide their own parking or us paying for the parking. And in either case, we're paying for it, but we would either pay directly to, at the time it was the city as well as the DoubleTree. Now, of course, the city has removed the surface lot at the Civic Center for the field. And so available city parking has really dropped. So we're working with the DoubleTree now. The spaces that we used over the summer were primarily for contractor parking. And that's because the Discovery building itself, the Discovery building and the pool and everything else took up the vast majority of that portion of campus. So one thing I should point out is that for August, we actually only used about 150 spaces. And we've already worked with the DoubleTree to reduce the cost for that. For October, we're also only going to use 150 spaces. I think about 60 of those are our staff, our high school staff, and the rest have been contractor spaces. Pretty soon, we'll be able to have our contractors parking under the building. So that's not quite available yet, but soon it will be, and we'll be able to park our contractors on site actually in our building. Which will drop our need significantly. And of course, if teachers don't come back in November, then our use will be much lower in November and December. And so we have worked with the DoubleTree to structure this contract in a way that at the beginning of the month, we can tell them what our need will be, and we'll pay for those spaces as we need them. This amount that we're showing here, the 210 spaces for October through June, is kind of our upper cap. So if we came back and said, well, we're parking 240 people, they would say, no, you're parking 210. So we're establishing this as an upper cap, but we'll be paying for what we use. Does that answer your question, Oscar?
I just wanted to make sure we're paying for what we use, because it was looking like we're paying for a lot of parking spaces and not really utilizing them. And I was hoping we can renegotiate that. And we heard from the superintendent today that if there is a reopening, it's going to happen sometime in January. I'm sorry.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure we're being frugal as best as we can, and managing the budget as best as we can, and see if we can renegotiate, these contracts.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for this one, what we'll have, the contract will actually be that at the beginning of the month, we'll tell them how many spaces we need, and that's what we'll pay for, not this maximum number that's here, unless we happen to need the maximum number.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Oscar, I brought up the same issue with Steve and Carey earlier when I read this thing, because I was concerned as well. And what I heard from them that makes me feel better is that that's just the up to. We could end up paying zero. If nobody uses the spaces, we pay zero. So we only pay for what we use. And what was encouraging is Carey was able to negotiate a lower rate than what would normally be charged. So by us taking this on instead of the contractor taking it on, they actually saved us some money that way. But I shared your concern. I thought staff answered the concerns pretty well, at least for me. So do I have a motion and a second for this?
So moved.
I see Lori and then Craig with the second. Roll call. Ralph?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Oscar?
Abstention.
And I am a yes, so that is 6 and an abstention. Brings us to item 319, which I believe, Ralph, you pulled this one. You did. It was the HVAC issue. Giving you a chance to unmute on your own before I say something.
Okay. I was on a Zoom earlier today. I was on 2 Zooms at the same time in the same meeting, and had to figure out which one to mute. Anyway, this these are all things are on consent because they're seem to be things that we all generally in agreement should be done and to save time. But some of them, as we're seeing, might need more explanation. I think this is really important. We have talked about it before, but briefly. But I think it ties into the superintendent's report and kids coming back to school, and the health and safety issues around kids coming back. And so ionization is a process which creates safer spaces, and we're being asked to approve $450,000 worth of work to install ionization lamps and the like. But that's only part of what we're doing. And I think it's important, for our families to understand things that we're doing, and And so maybe Carey, I know, could talk, or Steve, a little bit about how we're approaching this. That we have, this is room by room. So the district has had to look at every classroom, every room that adults and students might be occupying, and to make a determination, excuse me, what we might be able to do in that room to install this. And in some cases, we may not be able to. So if Carey, you could just kind of talk about what we're doing and what we're going to come back with information, so that our families can better understand what we can achieve, and in some cases we may not be able to.
Oh, yes, I'd very much like to talk about this. As we have learned more about this pandemic, one of the things we've learned about the coronavirus is that the greatest concern is about air and the indoor air quality and how it is transmitted through the air. Even more than surfaces, it really is about the air quality. So we've done a very extensive look with our maintenance and operations staff, with our our HVAC consultants, with our architects, really taking a look with our engineers, trying to ask the question how to provide the best quality, best air quality as we can in the spaces. And there are certain things that we can definitely do, which we've already done in our spaces, which is increase the amount of outside air, improve filters, upgraded our filters where we can in all of our systems. But this was one thing that we discussed. We looked at both UV systems and ionization. Is where we have installed the HVAC systems, putting an ionization system in, it is able to capture and nullify bacteria, viruses, mold, and smoke. And it's very useful whenever we can get the air and sort of capture it. We're able to use this as a bond program, because we don't see this we see this not only as a great benefit with the virus, but we also see it as a long-term indoor air quality improvement. As you know, smoke and bacteria are sometimes our leading causes of concerns, health concerns in the space. So we looked at it really deeply. Ionization was a system that we found would work. We did this as an emergency bid, which meant we put it out to select groups that we knew could get it done and could accomplish it in time. And we got the best rate out of those four. They'll be coming in and hitting all of the rooms where we have an HVAC system that we can immediately go in and attach this unit. Now we have a number of rooms in our district that have not yet been updated with the HVAC system. We're pushing to get them done. We'll get a lot of them done starting this next summer. But in those spaces, we're also preparing, and you're going to see another board action as soon as we finish the procurement method for improved HEPA filters that would go into those spaces, so that we can actually neutralize the air. So as much as we can turn over the air, get it moving through these systems, remove the virus, also opening windows, doors, getting as much outside air into the room, we believe will make our facilities safer. And this is one major step. And we believe we can get this done by January, when we would have students back.
Great. And then Carey, so or Dr. Dradi, when you come back, we're having the community meetings and have the full plan.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be able to talk about opening windows. Who's going to be responsible for how we're going to do some of the things that we need to do to make sure our classrooms are as safe as they can be.
Absolutely. And what you see before you and a bunch of other purchases that you have authorized, all of to address some of the COVID situation in our buildings and so on. Those are all protocols we've put in place for us to be able to present to the community and you throughout the month of October and November. So the way we're going to move forward is I'm going to engage the community, as I mentioned in my report, throughout October. And then at some point, we're going to come to you as a board to have a discussion around options that we have. And in there, we're actually going to talk about all the safety protocols, including the ionization and what we're doing with the buildings and so on. So all those things will come together when you see the full presentation in November, prior to us making any major decision.
Ralph, any more questions, or?
I'll move the item.
Great, thank you. It's our second. I see Craig with the second. Roll call. Ralph.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Craig. Thumbs up. Lori,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Oscar
Yes.
is a yes, and I am a yes. So that is 7 yeses. So that is the end, brings us to the end of consent. Great. I'd like to thank staff for their good work in being able to respond to all these questions in such a professional manner. We appreciate it. General public comment. I think we have 2 general public comments. Ms. Lieberman.
Yes, we do. The first one is Noelle Lewis, and the second one is Wendy Dembo. You will each have 3 minutes to address the board.
I think Noelle was for a major action item. I could be wrong.
I can speak now if that's fine.
Well, I didn't think it was a
Oh
major.
yeah, Noelle's for L1, which is school retrofit.
I think it's I1, but yes.
Oh yeah,
I'm having a little trouble with the designation. So okay.
So I think Wendy and Alex were for general public.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Wendy Dembo and Alex Mataloso, and then Noelle will be speaking at the next item, which is the major action item. Lori, is that right? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just calling on them already.
Oh no, I was going to say
updating the Google sheet because I did not see Alex.
Okay.
The last time I looked.
Yeah, we added her recently, so it's Wendy Dembo and Alex Mataloso.
Okay.
Hi, board members, Dr. Drati. Again, I want to talk after I spoke and heard that about 8 years ago, you guys were talking about what to do about art at Lincoln, but there was never any decision or action because, as I've told you, my daughter and many of her friends were not able to take art in 7th grade, and actually some 8th graders were not able to take art in 8th grade. So I just want to continue to ask you about this so that something is done, because although it is too late for my daughter to take art in 7th grade, I would want to make sure that when children who are artistic or visual rather than musical want to take a year of art in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade at Lincoln, they should be able to have that opportunity. So I feel like if you can find money for a sustainability person to have a full-time job, you should be able to find some money to have a part-time teacher. Perhaps they could teach part-time at Lincoln and part-time at Olympic, because I've heard you don't have an art teacher at Olympic because that teacher is now teaching at Lincoln. So I just want to keep on reminding you, because I feel like otherwise it will get forgotten. So thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing about more art at Lincoln. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Dembo. So this came up as a comment last week, and we asked staff if they could look into this. So Dr. Moore, do you have information for us?
Yes, I actually have a meeting next week scheduled with the principal for Lincoln, Ms. Culpepper. So I will be able to give an update at that point.
Wonderful. So I guess so the board will hear something in a Friday memo possibly, and then the public will hear something in the next board meeting on the 15th.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Alex Mataloso.
See Alex, unless they're registered under a different name. Are you there, Alex? Let me check by last name. No, I don't see him. Doesn't seem to be there.
Okay.
That completes the public comments.
Oh, thanks so much. Sorry, Lori.
That's all right.
So discussion items. We do not have any discussion items tonight. So it brings us to major action item. Major action item I1, renew, which we do at every meeting now. Renew resolution number 2002, declaring an emergency and delegating authority to enter into contracts necessitated by the spread of coronavirus, and review of action taken under BP 2210, emergency resolution adopted 316 and 716. So is this a Ben or a Carey?
I'll pass it on to Carey.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take this again. So you passed this resolution.
Carey, before you begin, I'm going to interrupt because you have no rhythm going. Alex Mataloso just joined us. So Alex, we'll get to your comment after this section is over. Okay, so if you just sit tight for a minute.
Okay, so we need to renew this resolution, which declares an emergency and delegates authority to enter into these contracts due to the spread of coronavirus. You've approved this in the past. We'd ask that you approve it again. And this, since last meeting, we spent $5,315 on additional plexiglass barriers, $2,672 on personal protective gear and cleaning, and $19,537 on signage. This goes in addition to our emergency procurement that you just approved in the consent item. We will continue doing this and we'll keep coming back to you. If you would please renew the resolution, it does take a 4/5 vote.
I'll move it.
So Lori's moving the resolution. I see seconded by Maria.
I have a question.
Roll call. Ralph? Oh, sorry, Oscar, do you have a question before the?
Question. Carey, are there any, you listed a few things that we've already purchased.
Yes.
In terms of the last, resolution, what are some things that you expect to be spending funds on moving forward after we pass this? Is there something pending, something that you just want to let us know about?
I did mention, the air purification is still coming. We've gotten the additional outdoor portable sinks already in place. We do have some more signage to come through. We're doing our walks with our principals to work that out. We also anticipate that we'll need more things like plexiglass shields, other PPE. It's mostly the same, but we're moving, continuing to move forward. It'll be really telling. We're doing our walks with our principals over the next month, where we'll really determine what it's going to take to bring all the kids back, and that's going to be the big question.
Yeah, and one question that I've gotten from many parents is in terms of using the outdoor space, but I heard from you that that's not really a plan, that we're not planning to put canopies out there so that we can, have sort of these outdoor experiences, for just like the restaurants, the government said you have to move outside. Parents are expecting that in the reopening, there's going to be a lot of that going on with classrooms, that being outside, outdoors will be the way to move forward.
Right. We are definitely looking at where we can do outdoor learning and our spaces that are allowed for outdoor learning. The big challenge is, other than a pop-up tent, like a 10 by 10 or 10 by 12 tent, for us to put up a larger tent or larger structure is a very, very cumbersome process with the Division of State Architects. It is not simple. And every time we look at it trying to go, hey, we're going to walk down this road, we always end up in the same way, which goes, well, the only way to do this really is put a permanent structure, and it'll take us a year to go through a process to get to a permanent structure. There's just so many requirements for safety, structural, the fire life safety, accessibility that have to be met. It really is not a solution for schools, sadly, and rightly, because the Division of State Architects wants to make sure that we protect students and not put them in unsafe conditions.
Okay, great, thank you.
But that doesn't mean that we're not going to explore ways where we can bring students outside when permitted. So those are, like I said, we're going to engage in a bunch of conversations this October and November to express all these and answer some of these questions. And also, all the expenditures you're approving under this major action item, this is probably, I think, the 4th or 5th one that you've approved, but all of that will come together when we actually present the entire plan for reopening and what it's going to have to take. So we'll be able to express where your support is going.
Maria, did you have a question as well?
No, just kind of following up, and I think he kind of answered it, Dr. Durati. But what you said, that so when we actually get the full plan for the actual full plan in terms of the reopening, are we going to have specific plans for each of the schools and how they're each going to operate, so that each of the schools will be able to share their families from each school, what the process will be, what the
Yes,
plan will be?
the letter that I'm going to be sending to the community, you'll see this whole chart of all the different meetings that we have and that we're going to be recommending. And part of that includes principals engaging with their community about what is taking place at their specific sites and so on. So it's one thing I can express what's going on district-wide, but at Webster, we will need Mrs. DeRudy to talk to her community about where things are and what they can do and can't do. So those.
I listened to that, but I'm more specifically asking because each school site is different. It's set up differently. Whether each school site then will have their own, looking at a plan, an actual plan where buildings are at, you know, like the boxes that represent the buildings, and how hopefully the entrance, exiting, and all those protocols will be set up for the actual families, so that they're not all of a sudden the first day back at school it's all chaotic because we're trying to figure it out, but they already know ahead of the time what will be set up for them on their first day back. That, and the other thing is, you know, right now, I guess we have to, I guess, continue to do what we've always done, even if we won't have shelters set up. I think for the most part, most of the schools used to participate in setting up activities outside anyways.
Yes.
So I think they just need to continue doing what they used to do, even though because we'll have less children anyway coming back. So that I think the natural activities that classrooms and teachers did with their students outside of the classroom, I think just need to continue.
Absolutely.
Of course, within safety measures, you know, safety protocols too, you know, under the new plans. But I think they can continue and still go out and paint outside or whatever they need to do to set up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what you'll see when we present is there are very strict protocols for us to get approval to reopen, and it only really takes us to certain approaches as a district, and that's a part of what we're gonna have to share with the community about what we can and can't do in order for us to reopen, and you'll definitely see that there.
Sorry, Ben, I'm going to jump in real quick because we're really going way beyond what the scope of this item is. And I know we do have a public comment that I probably should have taken. I didn't know we were going to get into board member comments. So we have one public comment on this item. I'll ask board member Lieberman to introduce.
This is Alex. Excuse me.
Oh no, sorry. This is Noelle Lewis. I'm gonna get Alex in after this.
Oh, I thought you wanted to put Alex in.
Yeah, sorry. No, this is Miss Lewis.
Okay, Noelle Lewis, you have 3 minutes to address the board on this issue.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I guess the first thing is, and maybe it's just because I'm in private industry and used to moving a little faster, is, but do we have a deadline for a published plan to get back to school? I sent a link to all of you in your emails of 900 published plans nationwide. We've had since March of 2020 to do the retrofitting of our facilities. COVID is with us. We are living with COVID, and maybe you're not hearing as much from parents, but organically I do. And I guess at this point, it just feels like the can is being kicked down the road, maybe into flu season. And the parent conversations don't involve a lot of trust in what we're hearing. Also, the conversations are kind of one-sided. So there was a big belief that the school year for 2021, and Oscar did not help when he said, if the school opens, that we're really looking at distance learning for the 2021 school year. And we're not seeing retrofitting in the schools, so that doesn't help our belief system at all. And so I guess it would be great if you could publish something definitive. If there is an LA County order to go to school tomorrow, it sounds like we don't have a plan. So, you know, again, there are emergency exemptions for construction. There are also some common sense solutions. So, you know, I'm not hearing talk about getting back to school or being ready when LA lifts the lever. I'm hearing a lot of planning, and it's been since March of 2020. So is there some deadline there with the board or with the superintendent, or do we just keep talking until January 5th and then get told that we are unable to do this constructively for a variety of reasons?
Sorry, Ms. Lewis, is that the end of your comment?
Yes.
Okay, we're limited by how much we can interact. I will say Dr. Drotti did address a good bit of this in the superintendent report. I will ask Dr. Drotti if you can do so briefly, if you can mention, I know you do have a plan for this communication coming out. Is that something you could just re-summarize briefly?
Absolutely. So
No, why are we re-summarizing it? We
I was just trying to help
earlier in the meeting.
I agree with Craig.
Okay, so can we just do this then? Ben, you are in the process of creating a current document based on the information we know right now that will be guiding our public, and that will be going out shortly, correct?
Yes.
Great, Thank you very much. Sorry, I mean, this is the issue that's affecting a lot of people, and just knowing that the superintendent is on this.
Just to add, those two-way conversations will take place at those meetings throughout October, November, until you approve a plan that's going to be published in November.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Drotti. So we have a motion and a second already for this item. Are we ready to take a roll call vote on it? Great. Ralph?
Yes.
I just saw Oscar with a thumbs up. Is that a vote?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Maria?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That is 7 yeses. We made our 4/5. All right. Now I asked the board's indulgence for this next thing, which is also against protocol. Normally we would ask if we have general public comment coming later. We just missed Alex with a technical issue by seconds. Can we please bring Alex? Alex, please wait for me to introduce you. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So I'd like to give Alex her 3 minutes right now to do her general public comment, if that's acceptable to the board. Nodding, great. Sorry, so Alex, sorry, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Okay, hi, thank you very much for this opportunity to share about the parents at Lincoln Middle School, and are would like to bring up the fact that there is no art at Lincoln Middle School until 8th grade, and even then some of the kids don't have an opportunity to do art, and we view it as being really unfair because they do have art at jams. And my daughter really enjoys art. It's been a big stress reliever, and it's been a real disappointment not to be able to do art in middle school. So I wanted to address the fact that it's a big gap that we have at Lincoln Middle School for middle school kids, that there's no art available. And I also wanted to express my concern that we're spending so much money on the PBL during this time of the pandemic when we don't have enough money, and that we're renting Olympic High School. And I don't understand why that couldn't be done at Santa Monica High School, and why it couldn't be more of an integrated process. So I guess I'm concerned about the expense for that in this really, we have such a tight budget. So I'm really concerned about the PBL and how few students we have doing it, and how much cost it is, and how that is a different, there's so many less students per teacher, so it's really kind of an unfair advantage. But I don't know, I think this is really, we have to count our pennies right now and try to help the greater good. So there's my concern about the PBL, and I think more students could benefit from it if they integrated into Santa Monica High School. So those are my concerns.
Great, thanks so much, Alex. And just in case you didn't hear before, Dr. Moore has a meeting with Principal Culpepper on Monday to discuss the situation of art at Lincoln. So thank you for your comment. And now we go to major action item I2, complete superintendent's performance evaluation for, that's a typo, unless I'm getting dyslexic, 2019-2020 amended employment agreement. So I'm going to read out a report that will explain how we conducted our evaluation of Dr. Drotti, and then I will explain the steps moving forward. So I will try to get through this as painlessly as possible. On August 13th, 2020, the Board of Education began its formal performance evaluation of Superintendent Ben Drotti. Over subsequent meetings, the board met both with and without Dr. Drotti to review each individual board member's evaluation, and then crafted them into a cohesive document with a formal board opinion. That opinion, decided with a 7-0 vote, was that Superintendent Girardi would receive a satisfactory evaluation based on his work for the 1920 school year. Point of note, satisfactory is the highest rating possible under this evaluation. In reaching that unanimous decision, the board looked at various performance goals and objectives. Among those were a longitudinal review of 14 defined categories discussed as the foundational aspects of the 2018-2019 review. All categories were evaluated to reflect continued progress or lack thereof 1 year later. In addition, 10 new areas of focus were defined for the 2019-2020 school year as key performance topics. All board members were tasked to answer all categories with a response of satisfactory, needs improvement, or unsatisfactory. An answer of satisfactory but needs improvement was acceptable. In addition, all board members were given the opportunity to share comments about how they determined each rating. These comments were condensed into 2 categories: what has been done well and areas for improvement. Finally, all comments were collated into an appendix for deeper examination. From our discussions as a board concerning the evaluation, we have determined that the core goals for this current school year will be identifying our most significant core priorities, and then identifying barriers to their successful implementation. This document will be crafted by Dr. Girardi and will be discussed in public at future board meetings. In addition, we will continue the longitudinal analysis of the past 2 years' evaluation questions when we conduct the 2020-2021 evaluation. To conclude, the Board of Education for the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District has determined that Superintendent Dr. Ben Girardi has received by an unanimous 7-0 vote of the board members a satisfactory performance evaluation. Following this process, the board has given, part of this item is also to amend Dr. Girardi's employment agreement as follows. Extension of deadline to complete performance evaluation was moved from September 15, 2020 to October 15, 2020. The extension of a tax sheltered annuity TSA payment was moved from October 1, 2020 to November 1, 2020. This TSA payment is not a raise or salary. It is deferred payment to ensure continuity of leadership and is payable only if Dr. Girardi remains employed as our superintendent at the end of that term. So that was the evaluation. So we will, the steps are going to be right now. One is we will need a motion to accept the evaluation. I see so by Richard, seconded by Craig. I also want to get to a clarifying question, which will be, I think Dr. Girardi, you wanted to jump in and clarify something.
Yes, thank you. First, just a couple of things. First and foremost, I really do appreciate the confidence you have in me to be able to lead the district. I think when you hired me, I think it was a pretty good marriage between what you wished as a board, as a community about education and its impact on lives of students and all the issues of equity. So when I happily took this job, I felt very comfortable knowing that I'm coming to a place where human lives and outcomes for all are a priority. So with that, we set on a path to address what those issues are and what the outcomes are. And I think we made some good progress. And I understand we're not where we need to be at this point, but I think I like the fact that you want me to present publicly what it is that you're going to evaluate me based on. And I think in a public way. I find comfort in that because I don't want people to think I'm here creating some kind of vanity. You know, I've heard this term, I'm using this because I heard it before, addressing issues of equity as a vanity task for me. That is not the case at all. We're trying to support students. So I think that's important that I actually convey that publicly with metrics so that the staff sees it, the administration sees it, the community sees it, and then we go from there. And also, you know, I didn't expect COVID to happen. None of us did. We didn't expect the Woolsey fires to occur. None of that did. So I think all those things play into how I perform. So what I would want to do is essentially outline all those things, dealing with what we need to do instructionally, education-wise, and also issues that come up on a regular basis. And I mean, my God, I think when I first got here, we were hit with the norovirus, and I just crashed everything. And that went to woozy fires, mudslides, and all of a sudden, now we get, it seems like every year there's something getting in the way of this work. But I think having a public conversation around what we're trying to accomplish, so that way everybody sees what we're trying to do, and they tangibly see the results. I think it's an important thing for the entire community, and I think it would actually help me move forward. So that's two. The third thing is, we obviously have a budget issue. I'm glad you worked with me and the staff in identifying where we can make the reductions we need to make. If we didn't do that, we would have been a lot worse situation as a district, bringing on possible takeover from the county office. But we made some room, and we have darker days ahead because we don't know what's going to take place with measures GSH and YY, and also our basic A status, where we are with the assessed values of our properties in Santa Monica and Malibu. So we have no way right now. Things are coming our way. We're not sure. So we have some challenges ahead of us. So what I want to do is forego the TSA, if you can indulge me in that for this year. I just think for me to take that right now, with the challenges that we have and the decisions we made, I'd rather not include that as a part of the plan for this year. And then we can talk about future later on. But for now, I think it's probably it'd be a good gesture not to include the TSA in my as a part of this. So with that said, I'll stop here.
Great. So thank you, Dr. Rice. So then I guess we will definitely. So and thank you for the words there. I thought it was very well said. I think we'll have to amend the motion, which would be to accept the evaluation, amend the contract with the removal of the TSA for this year. So we'll have to amend the motion.
I'll amend the motion I made.
Okay, so amended by Richard, seconded by
Craig, if he doesn't.
Craig is still there. So Craig also is the second on this again.
Say that I am reluctant to do that. I do that because that's what Dr. Drotti wants, and because I think there are benefits to all we're trying to do. But there's a very particular reason that that's there, which is to meet the criticisms, meet the observations in the Noguera report, keep a superintendent, in this case, a great superintendent, in place. And I do think it's important that we have this in place. I'll accept, and we'll all accept that Ben wants to forego it this year, but it is really important, and we wouldn't want this to come in the way of his longevity at the district at all. So thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Here. We actually have one public comment, and so now that we're past clarifying, unless there's anything else clarifying. Okay, so we'll do the one public comment, then we'll come back for a vote.
Yes, Steve Cannell, you have 3 minutes. I can't see you, but hopefully Sarah can.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dr. Drotti, these are my comments. What I was going to say is that in 2018, when this continuity agreement was entered into, continuity of leadership agreement was entered into, it was, to those of us who looked at it from the outside, it looks like a 4.2% increase, even though it's deferred until 2022. It's every year. And that was a year when we got 0%. And so I've been thinking, we are always told there's no money. Always. I mean, if I need an ergonomic seating arrangement for what I'm currently doing right now, there's no money. And I spend all my day in front of a computer at this time. So it just always did seem to me that there seems to always be money, but not for those at the school site and not for employees. We're usually told our salaries and benefits are too expensive or rising too quickly to allow for us to have any sort of increase. And you're part of the same benefit and pension plan that we are. So your benefits and pensions rise just as quickly as ours do. But I do absolutely applaud you for foregoing this for this year. I think it sends a really strong message to people in the community, and to the teachers, the ones I have certainly talked to. Thank you. It's definitely, while I'm sure the board would disagree, but they do support your decision. I think it's very symbolic and a strong message to those of us who are constantly told there's no money because we're in a budget crisis, to hear that somebody in leadership has said that and is starting to forego something that the rest of us don't have available to us. So thank you. And that's the end of my comment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cannell. Oh, sorry, Laurie.
That's all right.
So we have the amended motion on the table. Are there any further comments? Yes, Laurie. I think Laurie, then Oscar.
Yeah, I just want to echo Craig's comments and also just note that this is obviously an incredibly difficult economic time for a lot of people. And so I too want to applaud Dr. Drotti's gesture and say that it's really important. It is an important gesture. And I just want to take note of it and appreciate it.
Wonderful. I've got Oscar and then Maria.
Yeah, I just want to support everyone at the top of any organization right now in our city. Making that gesture, I think, sends the right message. So thank you, Ben, for that. And just to reiterate, John, in terms of setting the benchmarks for the next school year moving forward, we'll have an opportunity to make that process happen, right?
Dr. Drotti, do you want
to? Yes. So yes.
Okay, that's great. I just want to let the public know that because the item says we have to set the benchmarks, but in any, it's clear that we will be doing that, and we will be bringing back that discussion to the board, and so that the public can hear that discussion.
Yes. Yeah, I think the whole idea is just to be very transparent about what we're trying to accomplish. To me, this isn't about me; it's about the organization, and I don't have what we call vanity programs or anything like that. so it's about the kids and about the education and where we're trying to head. So I think the public conversation is good.
Thank you. I got Maria, then Richard.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you so much. I think I'm glad that we clarify a lot of these issues, because it's a time when a lot of people have lost, like they said, lost jobs, and some of us have furloughed, time from their jobs too. So it's kind of nice that again, people from the top realize that we're here to support. We're here in unity with all of our community. And thank you, Dr. Drotti. It doesn't mean that I hope you're not gonna. I know you're not gonna leave us anytime soon. I think you started your work here, and you just need to continue it, because at any given time you need to kind of come up with a finished product, and I think you're moving towards that. So I thank you for that, and thank you for at least. I know you've already started your work for this coming year for 2021, but hopefully with the plans that you will present, that people can visually see, they'll see what you have done in terms of when, as we, pivoted to distance learning, and what we're doing now to continue distance learning and open up with the same mind of that our education plan, because the education plan is still there, and it's just different modes from distance learning now to, however we're going to come back, in January. But I thank you so much for the work you've done. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Maria. So Richard.
Thank you, John. Ben, I just want to concur with my colleagues. Particularly, I want to underscore what Maria said. You can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. I also really do appreciate your gesture. I also want to just say that I sure as heck wish there was a way to say that the superintendent, from my perspective, and I know the whole board is doing better than satisfactory. Ben, I believe that you are doing an incredible job for our community, for our children, and I believe you to be a true gift. And I think for us to stay close to what Dr. Noguera and Dr. Rousseau and what people for decades have been working toward here, the work that you are doing on behalf of this district in collaboration with folks is really, really important. And that was underscored and made even clearer to me, as if it didn't need to be made clearer, but in your gesture this evening. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ralph.
Okay, just quickly, thank you, Ben, for your support for our community.
Yeah.
Your love of your work, because it excites all of us, and I hope the community does see that you are with us every step of the way. So, thank you.
And on that note, I will call the vote. So, Ralph.
You bet.
Maria.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Richard.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Oscar is a thumbs up, and I am a yes. So that is 7 yeses. Thank you very much, Ben. And we look forward to the next step of the reports and the efforts to keep sharing the information and continuing the good work that we're all committed to. So thank you.
Yeah.
That brings us to major action item 3, approved master agreement between Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District and the City of Malibu regarding the use of school district facilities. Carey Upton.
Hello, yes, I'm back. So we've had a long-term relationship with the City of Malibu regarding the use of our district facilities, a master facilities agreement that dates back to 1995. We've done several new agreements and amendments to the agreement. The last agreement was approved in 2016. And it was to go to 2019, but after the Woolsey fire and after the pandemic, we kept adding a little bit of time. So in June, you approved one more amendment to extend it 3 months, just to give us time to complete the agreement. The agreement has been completed. It is very much like all of our previous agreements. The only significant change was the one that you approved in the amendment number 3, which was changing the rate of charge from the basic to the direct. That's a rate from a more subsidized rate to a rate that actually meets our cost for the facilities. So the agreement was approved by the City Council of Malibu on Monday, and we would ask that you approve this agreement. The agreement is for 2 years with the possible extension of 1 year.
I'll move it.
Okay. So moved by, was that Lori that just moved and Craig seconding? Okay, questions, comments, clarifying? Brilliantly presented, Carey. I will now call the vote. Ralph.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Oscar. Thumbs up. And I am a yes as well. So that is approved. There are 3 information items if people want to examine them. I don't have any board member items, no more public comments. Any board member comments? Maria and then Richard.
And Ralph's on the
Oscar and then Ralph.
Well, good
Maria,
evening. I guess not really a comment, but in closing tonight, I'd like to close in honor of a great man who we lost a couple of weeks ago. Natividad Nati Vasquez, who was a beloved counselor at Santa Monica College for about 43 years. He was someone that did so much for a lot of our Santa Monica and Olympic high school students who when he was there counseling at the high school, helping them resolve and come to terms and figure out their lives in terms of how they would be able to continue on to higher education and go to college. Many of them that were first generation college goers ended up coming through the pathway of Santa Monica College and ended up going to really prestigious universities, from UC Berkeley to UCLA to USC, his alma mater of USC, and a lot of the UCs and Cal States. So a lot of those students are now professionals in their own right. My husband Tony, his brother, and myself have received so many emails and letters and cards, from calls, texts, from a lot of his students that really they couldn't believe his passing, and the fact that he helped them put their lives together, and that they wouldn't be where they are without his help. I think he must have. I used to joke around and say he was, the transfer center for SMC. He was, because he helped about over thousands of students in the 43 years he was there to get them to the road and to these, to go to college. And he will be, heartfelt. He did retire in 2017 because of illnesses at that time, but he will be heartfelt because it's difficult to really fill the shoes of someone who just, he never had children of his own. So all of his students were his children, and then he took care of them so, especially each one of them, to make sure that they were successful in their lives. So, I'm hoping that other counselors will step up to try to fill his shoes, so that we can continue the many children, the many students that went on to college because the role that he took as a counselor in this community.
Thank you, Maria. You know what I'd like to do now, because we're not ready to adjourn yet. I'd like to call for a moment of silence after that, after what you said, so we can all take a moment to think about Nati's memory. So that we could all take a moment of silence in memory of Nati Vasquez. Thank you very much, Maria. We will adjourn in his memory when we get to that point. I've got Richard and Oscar and Ralph for comments, and then we'll come back to Maria for the adjournment.
Thank you for that, Maria. I consider it a great honor to have worked with Nati for so many years at the college, and everything Maria said and so much more. It's a great loss for our community. I just wanted to share with my colleagues that next week, beginning on Monday the 5th, is the start of the Santa Monica College Public Policy Institute's Fall Arts and Cultural Affairs Forum that takes place. I'll make sure everybody has all of the information. The exciting thing is that we have the State Treasurer, Fiona Ma, giving a keynote address on Monday night, which we're very happy about. I think it's good for our students at SMMUSD at the upper levels to come and hear about how the arts can be a saving grace, if you will, during these very difficult times of this COVID what is it? Whatever we're calling it, the COVID. We have some really great panels. I'm very proud that my colleagues at the college named one panel after me. It's called Cranky COVID Syndrome and How to Overcome It. And so please take a look at the flyer that has come to all of us board members, and please share it widely. And then if you're looking to get out of the house, in concert with Sheila Kuehl and the County Board of Supervisors, the City of Santa Monica, the Santa Monica College, we're having a outdoor, well, I guess it has to be outdoor. It's a drive-in movie event, which is taking place next Friday and Saturday evening in the Bundy parking lot of the Santa Monica College Bundy campus. And Dr. Ferrer says if you got a convertible or a pickup truck, you can come in those cars with a top down or be in the back of the truck. And it's going to be a celebration of the different dance organizations in the city and county of Los Angeles with folkloric dance, ballet, world, all incredible things. So please, if you're looking for some community love and want to give some community love in this time of COVID, this will be a really wonderful time to support learners at all different levels. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. So we have Oscar and then Ralph.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we set a time to agendize the diversity and hiring report. And I know Mark has had that type of data in the past, but we want to have a more robust discussion on our staffing patterns and our plan to diversify in areas where we might need some diversity. And anyway, just want to make sure we have, a follow up on that. Want to make sure we have that. So just letting staff know, and I know the board mentioned that. So when we can look at a date, bring that back, and have some policy recommendations to institutionalize this report on an annual basis, I think would be very good for our organization.
Great, thank you, Oscar. So Dr. Kelly, when you have that information, you'll be able to tell the board when you'll be agendizing that, and hopefully it'll be in the near future. Which brings us to Ralph.
Well, two things. One, thank you, Maria. I know it's difficult losing Nadi, the family, and as you say, for the entire community. He was true community. Lived here, helped our youth become more successful in their lives. Can't ask anybody to do anything more than that. And then the other item I wanted to talk about is that we all board members, in the Friday memo, there was a matrix for which we could sign up to attend classes that are occurring now. And I've attended 2 of them, and it was really great. We've talked a lot about distance learning. We've talked a lot about visiting classrooms. So here's a real opportunity. So if you missed the matrix, or maybe it can get included again tomorrow, Dr. Morris, so that we board members can sign up. And it was really, I attended a 5th grade math class at Grant yesterday, and I think a class at Olympic this morning. 2 very polar opposites sort of how things are going. But in all cases, the teachers were engaged, the students engaged. There was a lot of work going on. There was a great spirit about it. So, we understand that the issues around the success of it, but it really showed me all the hard work that our teachers and our staff have done to create this opportunity for our students, and how successful it has been. So I just encourage you all to pull up your armchair and go take a class.
Thanks, Ralph. Yeah, just looking at it now, there's a bunch of classes, October 7th and 8th, there's a lot of opportunities. And then later in October, in the 20s, there's a bunch of opportunities. So I do encourage everybody to do that. Maria, if I'm not putting you on the spot, it's time for the adjournment. Would you like to adjourn the meeting tonight? Could you call the adjournment? Well, we'll have to unmute you.
No, this again, would like to close tonight's meeting in honor of a great man, of Natividad Vasquez. We all lovingly know him as Nati. And I just remembered, I think he was one of those that even helped you, Oscar, on your journey when you started from high school. So he's a man that has affected a lot of the people that we see in leadership today, moved on. And we hope he finds eternal peace. He joins his mother, his father, a younger brother who passed away some years back, and a sister who recently passed, and a niece. So he'll be in great company up there. I think he'll be out there organizing up in heaven with everybody else who's gone there ready to organize. I mean, and he's in peace for now, without pain. So that, hopefully everybody remember and just do something great. I think if you can go out there and just help somebody in honor of him tonight, just go out there this weekend and just go out and help somebody and be a friend and just lend out and show your love and your friendship to someone that you don't know. So anyway, I'd like to close in honor of Nati Vasquez. May he rest in peace.
Can I say really quick also, thank you, Maria, for those lovely words. And Nati was a tremendous asset to this community, and he will be missed. Santa Monica College will never be the same without him, and we need to do what we can, to ensure that we find more resources to support students in his memory at Santa Monica College and beyond that, because he did a lot of great work. And so I want to support Board Member Maria Leon Vasquez in remembering Nati Vasquez and adjourning in his memory, and in his memory to continue the good work.
So as we say, may his memory be a blessing. I'd like to thank our board members. I'd like to thank our staff. And we adjourn this meeting tonight in memory of Nati Vasquez. Be well, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.